So we have the speaker here for the first session of this induction program 2. We have Dr.L.S. Ganesh, who is a retired professor from the Department of Management Studies. So the dignitaries are leaving the session now. So sir has asked us not to introduce him, but then I just went online and when I checked, more interesting things were said in Quora. So as research scholars, you know that Quora is a place where you get to know all the original comments from, about a person. So some students have written like, teachers can teach you arts, science, humanities, but Professor L.S. Ganesh will teach you what the life is. Okay, so I think it will be a very apt beginning for this particular induction program because the topic is, where is your research going? So all of you have started the research. Where is it going? Anywhere, everywhere, somewhere or nowhere? Yes, sir, you're audible. You can start the session,
okay.
Sir.
Thank you very much. First, Vanakkam, Namaste and good morning. I mean, for those of you who do not know Tamil, how many of you do not know Tamil here? Please reflect. Okay, there are two. But for your sake, I'll translate whenever needed. I will slip into Tamil. I'll basically speak in English. But whenever I speak in Tamil, I'll translate for your sake. Okay? So that you're also included. Inclusivity is a very important criterion, across the world. So, Vanakkam is the Tamil greeting. That's the first word you should learn. Va means come. Okay? So, Vanakkam. Namaste and good morning. I thank University, Professor Umarani and team for having invited me here to be with all of you. Some of you are there, virtual space. Hi. Okay. So, I wanted to share some of the research experiences that I think you may go through in Anna University. I'll try to be of assistance and feel free to, share your comments, raise your questions, or make any observations you wish. I don't mind being interrupted at all. Just don't worry. I hope. What is the time we have, ma'am, for this session? After? Yeah, so that you can give me a warning at around 12:30. So please do that. I love my voice, ma'am. So please. Okay, thank you. So I came down here because it's also a psychological signal. I would like to be with you. So that is the reason. I thought it's important that I'm here with you. And I wish you all, before I commence what I wanted to share, I wish you all a very exciting, a very challenging journey in your doctoral work. Don't worry that it will be very challenging, but I also wish you greater victories over every challenge. Okay, so that's my belief. So I hope all of you will really enjoy what you're going to do. Don't forget, as you do your PhD and when you take your degree and go, you must look back and say, I had fun. That's very, very important. That feeling is important. In Tamil we say, I felt really jolly doing what I did. That's very, very important. First, I'll start off, why did I give this title? Because when you're starting the research journey, it's very important to understand the purpose with which you're starting. Now, I'll start with a common analogy that I give, and as we go along, it will become clearer to you. The first part is research scholars are fundamentally explorers and discoverers. Your thesis, and coming from that thesis, it is meant to be a statement of what you have discovered with your intellectual strengths, your imagination, your critical thinking, your creative thinking, all those faculties that you have. What is it that you discover? So please note this point. When you start your PhD, you don't know what is going to come out at the end. It's very important. You don't know. Now, why am I stressing this point? I am stressing this point because, in contrast to the doctoral program, or any research program, for it, even what you call as academic research, but not necessarily leading to a degree, which many of you might be doing later in your life. You do research because you love it. The point is, you don't know what's going to happen at the end. Now, the alternative is what we call as sponsored research, where there is a sponsor, Department of Science and Technology, Department of Biotechnology, whatever, Atomic Energy Research Board, or AERB, whatever it is, Ministry of Non-Conventional Energy Source. They may be having new names, I don't know that. Any Ministry of India, they might be supporting research projects. Now, in the case of research projects, please note, you must know what you're going to come up with at the end of the project. Otherwise, it's not a project. So it's diametrically opposite to academic research. I hope you're clear. In academic research, you don't know what's going to happen. Why won't you know? Yen theriyadu? Yen theriyadu means, why won't you know? Any guesses? Yeah, very correct. But I gave you the thing, no, you're an explorer. So you don't know what's going to happen. Kaal pona pokal is, as the legs lead you, you're going. But you're intelligent at the same time. You're not randomly, you're not a vagabond, So you're doing with some purpose. So you sort of know the directions in which you're going. But you may not know the milestones along that direction. Are you getting it? So this is important. In project work, sponsored projects, no, you know. This is what I'm going to do. Give me 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. I'll give you this result at the end. How do you know that? Because I'm already qualified and I can think clearly what is likely to happen. Please understand, even projects may fail. Huh? It's not that every project taken is a success. Please understand that. Okay? But I hope this difference is very clear to all friends here. Okay? The academic research and sponsored research. Okay, now we will start. What is it that you discover and what happens? I'm going to share that analogy. A researcher, let me start with, sir, what's your name, sir? Sudarshan. Okay. Let's start with Sudarshan. Okay. See, Sudarshan is the what you call as the original explorer. Okay. So he's chosen some area and he's really going to explore that area. So Sudarshan goes there and then he sort of does this intellectual work. Parallel is, you're like an explorer of lands. You're somewhere on the ship in an ocean. You're trying to discover some lands. Okay. Today everything is mapped, Sudarshan. I'm talking of you. Imagine sometime when you're discovering something. And then according to your maps, you come to some land you're sighting. See, according to the map, there's not supposed to be land here. I see a very large land mass. What is this? So Sudarshan becomes the discoverer of that land. Are you understanding? And he's going to give evidence. Please understand that. He's going to give evidence. This is very important in research. You have to give evidence of what you're discovering. In any form. In Sudarshan's case, suppose we go back 3-4 centuries when he's the quintessential explorer. He doesn't have photography. I hope you got it. But what are the resources he has? Maps, correct? Maps, stars, and guidance. I hope you got it. So he can share it with anybody. Say, this is the map. If you go this way, you will reach that land. Am I clear? So he has discovered that land. Let us say Sudarshan was so excited, he didn't land in that land. We'll make an assumption. He says, Yahoo, I discovered this land. So I'm very happy. Porumpa, I'll get back. Porumpa means enough. What language do you speak? Telugu? Telugu, okay. I don't know much Telugu, but still, it's all right. Somebody can help me. I'm sure there are people who can translate also. Porumpa means, what do you say? Chala? Chalu? What do you say? Not chala. Cha-lu. See, chalu. Yeah. Enough. I'm getting back. Okay? I'm getting back. Suppose let's say he get back. What's your name, sir? Karthik. I'll call Karthikeyan as Karthik. Karthik sees Sudarshan's work He's interested in explorer, another explorer. So Karthik says, okay, I'm going to verify whether what Sudarshan has said is true or false. So I will take the same route, the map, the stars, with the same kind of resources, and I will go and see whether that land is there. What if this fellow is lying? You know, by the way, I hope all of you know, there are many people who do fraud in research, fudging data, etc., etc. It's not uncommon. Just because they want fame, they can do all this nonsense. They're also human. It's not correct. I think, some years ago, one scientist in South Korea got caught also, badly. So, Karthik says, I will do, and Karthik goes with his team on the ship, explores. Karthik then says, look, Sudarshan said he saw the land, I'm also seeing the land, but I noticed that Sudarshan has not stepped on that land. Research gap. I hope you got it. Okay, he's not stepped on that land. So let me step on that land. I hope all of you understand by what I mean by it's a gap in the work. Because I need to see what is there. So he goes, anchors the ship, and then gets on the land, and then says, wow, it's a lovely beach, and miles of wonderful, what you call as virgin sand on the beach, and there are nice forested mountains ahead of me. They are looking very beautiful, and this is very nice. So, and then he says, Chalu, Porumpa. Okay, I'm getting back. Sir, name, sir? Thangavelu. So, Sudarshan, Karthik, and Thangavelu. Then Thangavelu sees Karthik's results and Sudarshan's results, citation. Okay, so he sees these two results and then says, look, these two people have gone. Karthik has seen the beach, everything, and he's described the beauty of the place. But I'm curious. I want to get on to the beach, go in the mountains, etc. Are you understanding? So Thangavelu sir says, I'm going to do that. So he takes his ship. Of course, the maps and stars, everything is there. He has their guidance already. In research, you stand on the shoulders of others. I hope you understand this. Okay? So Thangavelu says, I will do this. Thangavelu goes. He says, yes, there is the land, confirming Sudarshan's discovery. And then he steps on the thing, confirms Karthikeyan's picture. Yeah, correct. There is a lovely beach. There's forested mountains. But what is the research gap now? What is the gap now for Thangavelu? Huh? Absolutely. I want to climb the mountain, see the forest. Are you understanding? So he says, I want to do that. I want to discover. So I want to add to the knowledge. By the way, did Sudarshan sir know about the beach and the forest? He was so excited with his discovery. He says, enough, Chalu. I'm getting back. Okay. Then Karthik says, no, I'm going one step further. So he's citing. Then Thangavelu sir says, no, I'm going to go one step further. So I'm going to add to the work of both Karthikeyan and Sudarshan, and I'm citing them. I acknowledge their work. Very good. Thank you very much. And he says, I'm going to look at the forest. So he goes into the forest. Okay. Then he comes back with a gross description of the forest, very happy. Are you understanding? He's very happy. And he says, this is the land, this is the map, this is the land, this is how you reach there. If you reach there, you will see what Karthik saw. And now I am describing what neither Sudarshan nor Karthik saw. Because I saw. Okay, I discovered. So he says that, okay, I'm going to do this. Here he describes the forest. This is the forest. These are the kind of trees. Are you understanding? These are the kind of trees I'm seeing. These are the kind of plants and shrubs I'm seeing in the forest. Are you understanding? And then he says, okay, happy. Then Thangavelu sir comes back. I'll come to the ladies' side. What's your name now? Hema. Then Hema says, very good. These three researchers went and saw all this. But I'm very curious because Thangavelu sir has described the trees, shrubs, etc. But he's not said a word about the animals and birds and the reptiles there. Are you understanding? So then Hema says, I want to talk about that. Because neither Sudarshan nor Karthikeyan nor Thangavelu talked about that. Okay. So Hema says, I'm going there. I hope you're following this. Huh? It's a very gentle journey, which will be funny also as we go along. You'll start laughing, you know. And I know when you will laugh also, because it's not the first time I'm doing this, but the first time I'm giving this kind of an example. You know, ultimately when you're all teacher researchers, never forget, we are all singers. You sing the same ragam, but never the same way twice. I hope you understand this. Because if you do that, your spirit will be hurt. It's a fact, no? I mean, when you are teaching thermodynamics, you can't come with laws that are not there. They are already there. So you teach thermodynamics, but teach it in different ways. So you feel very, very happy. So that's what is happening. So Hema now looks at the forest and then says, I hope you got it, Thangavelu sir. So she's going to add to your knowledge, saying, Thangavelu sir went there, Sudarshan went, saw the land, he went inside. I mean, he didn't go into the forest, he went into the forest. Okay. I'm going to talk about the birds, the animals, the reptiles, and okay. And you do that. And you come back, you write your thesis. This is what I have discovered. I hope all of you agree. So far, everything is observable, verifiable, repeatable, falsifiable. Important criteria for scientific research. Very important criteria for scientific research. It's observable, it's repeatable, it's verifiable, and it's falsifiable. Very, very important criterion for science. Karl Popper. All of you researchers must read about this philosophy of science. Of course, the work is not, his work is different. K-A-R-L, Karl Popper, one of the great philosophers of science, who brought in this theme or concept of falsifiability of science. Okay. In fact, some people take it to one end and say, if something is not falsifiable, it's not science. So science demands falsifiability of results. Okay. But please do read Karl Popper. And also read about the great debate between Wittgenstein and Karl Popper. Wittgenstein. Wittgenstein and Popper. Wittgenstein, W-I-T-T, Wittgen, G-E-N, Stein, S-T-E-I-N, Wittgenstein. Supposed to be another great philosopher. And these two people are supposed to have clashed somewhere in England. Literally clashed philosophically. Okay? And nobody knows what happened. According to what I've read, they don't know what happened inside the hall or wherever they met. Okay, there's a book called Wittgenstein's Poker, P-O-K-E-R. So if you probably read that, there are some interesting things. I'm asking you, I'm giving you other resources because this is the part of excitement of learning about research. You really like it. Okay, that's why I'm giving you these resources. So Hema writes her thesis and said this. Okay. Then what's your name, ma'am? Huh? Spelling? Okay, Fazila. Okay. So Fazila says, I've got all these people. Now she's got 4 citations. Huh? Because that's research integrity, no? It's honest, no? You're not saying, I discovered the land. Because if you say that, our friend Sudarshan is going to stand up. What are you talking? Look at my damn paper. It came 15 years ago or 20 years ago. And you're saying you discovered. You know? Okay, you got it. So, then of course, they will also say, Fazila, you're too late. Wake up. Okay, you didn't discover the place. We've done more. 4 of us have done much more. Please read those papers, then we'll talk. Okay, this is the critique that happens very often when you push your research papers. Your referee may say, boss, did you read this or not? And sometimes referees are also very selfish. please cite these references because that fellow's name will be there. You understand? These are all normal. Don't feel bad about it. I have never done that. No? Never. I'll never do that. Because that is cheating. That's getting citations by force. Essentially, signal is, you bloody well put my name, otherwise I'm not clearing your paper. The signal is that, basically. So that dishonesty is there in the world of research. I want you to understand this. I know people or some of the people might get angry at what I'm saying, but that's the bloody truth. Okay? On camera, I'm saying. You can't help it. Okay? We'll talk about those aspects later as we go on. So Fazila wakes up and says, oh. Then she writes this thing. I'm sorry, I withdraw the paper. Are you understanding? I'm withdrawing the paper. But since I'm pointing out, I'm going there. She's saying, look, he saw the land, Sudarshan saw the land, Karthik saw the beach and the mountains and forest, Thangavelu sir saw the forest, Hema went into the forest, talks about animals, birds, whatever is insects, etc. Are you understanding? Reptiles and all. Sorry, she didn't talk about insects. So Fazila says, I'm going to study the insects of the forest. I hope you got it. So you see, we are going deeper, deeper. First land, then the composition of the land. Are you getting it? The topography, then a little search into the topography, isn't it? And then a deeper search into the topography. And then a branch of search. She's going into insects. Are you getting it? So she does that. She comes back. She writes, etc. Okay. I come back. Ma'am, what's your name, ma'am? Can I call you Raji? Okay. Raji ma'am goes. So Raji ma'am is looking at the papers of Sudarshan, Karthikeyan, Thangavelu, Hema and Fazila. And Raji says, very good. But none of them studied the fishes in the ocean there, near shore fishes. So she says, research gap, no? So I'm not worried about the forest and the thing. That's for somebody else. My interest is the fishes. So you say, okay, I'm going there and I'm going to study the fish population or the inside, near the shore. And what's your name, ma'am? Of course, Raji ma'am comes back, writes her thesis. Yeah, then? Okay, Raji 2. Okay. It has a nice pun also. Your RAJITWO and RAJITOO. Okay, both. So Raji 2 is also there. She says, Raji 1 looked at the fishes, etc. I'm very happy, no problems at all. But I'm going to study the waves on the island. Are you understanding? So I'm going to study the wave and the tides in that island, or land, whatever it is. You see the departure? This happens. Interdisciplinarity is coming now. So she becomes a ocean scientist. I hope you got it. These are all basically more into zoology. Are you getting it? The botanist is there. And then we have the quintessential discoverers here, basically. Okay, cartographer, geographer, whatever you want to say. Interdisciplinarity comes. Okay. Then I'll start. Ma'am, unga peru enna? Maitreyi. So I hope you got how the thesis, the work is developing, the area is developing now. That land is being studied. Okay. But every time discovery is happening. I hope you got it. Sudarshan discovered the land. Karthikeyan discovered the topography of the land. Then he goes inside and sees the features of the land. Then she goes deeper and not only the features of the features, isn't it? Then she studies specific features of the land. Okay. And then Raji 1 looks at a different dimension, not on the land but comes here, but related to it. Then she says, no, I'm not even looking at fishes. I'm not looking at it. I'm looking at a natural phenomenon of the waves and the tides. I hope you got it. Okay. Then Maitreyi says, okay, all of you guys did this. I'm going to study the weather on that land. I'll stay there for 2-3 years, study the weather and see when does it rain, what is the max temperature like, min temperature like, humidity like, what is the lux there in the land at different spots. You know, you're coming into physical sciences slowly. Okay. So that's what Maitreyi does. Have you got this now? So everybody has found a nice research gap and a nice track or a path to take. And they're doing it. And you're having fun, because you're discovering something.
And but before you go there, do you know what you're going to see? You have to take measurements, correct? How will you get measurements of light, humidity, etc., unless you have the instruments with you? Okay, so you come in there. So you have the meteorologist there, studying the weather, etc. Okay? I'm cutting a long story short so that I think you got the drift now. Okay? Then we have other researchers who are all jumping in and saying, ha ha ha, these people did this. But then, what's your name, ma'am, please? Harita. Harita later comes and says, okay, they've all done this, but none of them looked at the land from the treetops. So I'm going to climb every tree and look at the land from the treetops. I hope my friends are understanding what I'm saying. I'm going up on the treetop and looking down. I hope you got it, okay? And seeing what is happening. Then, what's your name? Soumya says, okay, she looked at the treetop. I'm going to go underground and see what's happening in the land. Then, sir, what's your name, sir? Gauri Shankar says, she did all this underground, etc. I'm going to take a helicopter and see the whole thing from the canopy point of view. I'll look at the canopy, what is happening, how does it look like, etc. Are you understanding? So like this, the whole thing spawns out. And then I go and say, they've done all this, but nobody looked at who is managing the whole thing. So I'm going to study the manager of that place. I'll see the tribes, who is living there, what is their life. I become the anthropologist. Are you understanding? Anthropologist, sociologist, whatever you may call. And psychologist to some extent. I get into the social sciences. So I'm going to study the people and all. Okay. Okay. Then, sir, what is your name, you said? Raja, sit down, Rajshekhar. Rajshekhar says, all of them did all this. Now I'm going to study Ganesh. Are you understanding? So you take a different route altogether. So I'm going to study the scientist. So that's my work. That's my researcher. I'm going to look at the language that Ganesh speaks, why he speaks, when he speaks, what he speaks, to whom he speaks, why, all those things. Are you understanding? So he becomes a different kind of coming into humanity slowly. Okay? So the whole area spawns beautifully. Okay? Then we'll ask, sir, unga per enna, sir? Taj. T-A-J. Yeah. So Taj says, Taj is, let's say, a dreamer, very fertile imagination. Taj says, all of them did this, but the whole work is worthy of a poem. So I'm going to write a poem on this whole place, But technically not research, but you got what is happening, So slowly the work flowers like this. I hope you got it. Now, you see how many people can get interested in this? So it all started with Sudarshan's initial thing of the first discovery. I'm seeing the land, Only difference was you got too excited and came back. And I'm sure if you want to write all the thesis, it's more than a lifetime, Sudarshan. I hope all of you are able to see that. Do you think Sudarshan can do it alone? All the work of Karthikeyan and Thangavelu and Hema and Fazila and Rajivan and Rajitu and Rajshekhar and Gauri Shankar. You can't. So, my dear friends, this is the way research goes. But what are the differences you should watch out for? Now, that is when you are the quintessential explorer. You're trying to see things for the first time. But here you're not trying to see for the first time. Something else is happening. Okay? What is happening? Let's ask, sir, unga per enna, sir? Vadivel. So Vadivel says, oh, they all did this. I'm going to choose Karthikeyan as my guide. Are you understanding? So I will choose Karthikeyan as the guide and we will work together and I will get my PhD working with Karthikeyan. Okay? And you strike a relationship with Karthikeyan. Say, sir, here's my application. This is my credibility. I am so and so, so and so. These are my school, right from school, this is how I performed. And I've got my credentials. Will you be willing to take me as a research scholar with you? Karthikeyan looks and says, yeah, good, very good. Come, let's work together. So he brings all the knowledge together and places it to Karthikeyan, which he also is supposed to know. Karthikeyan is supposed to have been reading what the others, Thangavel is doing, Hema is doing, Fazila is doing, Raji 1, Raji 2, Gauri Shankar, Rajshekhar, everything he should have be, because he's interested in that. So he says, yeah, so many people are doing so many things. So I have to understand this. Okay. Then he comes and, of course, you're also Taj's friend, let's say. Okay. So you're working with him. You produce your thesis also. You found your research gaps and got it. I hope you're seeing the growth of the community now. Okay. The whole research community is slowly emerging in that area. Okay. If you actually see the emergence of many areas of research work, you can relate to the analogy of the discovery of the land and the forest, etc. You can. It's not difficult. Okay. That is very interesting. But I want you to think a bit about what I have stated and see how it relates to the question that I had raised. Where is your research going? The reason I'm saying is, there are many stages and moods through which a researcher will travel during those years you are doing research. And it's very important that you understand this, these moods and things. Are you getting it? Okay? Sir, enna per sonnellinga? Vadivel. Sorry, I missed it. Okay, sorry, sir. Let's say Vadivel is a young researcher. He's a very young researcher. And he started his research. He has to go make his presentations to Karthikeyan and his team in the institute. Yeah. Say once a year you have to say, what is your progress report? Tell me. Vadivel can't say, sir, I did everything but research. You can't say that. Because then Karthikeyan will question him, boss, you are getting the Anna Research Fellowship. You better be truthful to that fellowship, you know. So you can't say I didn't do anything. I hope you got it very well. No offense to you, please. Just for an example I'm saying. So he says, okay, then Karthikeyan, because it's his duty also, no. So if both of them are not doing anything, the Vice Chancellor will ask them, what are you guys doing? That's the job of the Vice Chancellor. If the Vice Chancellor is not doing anything, then the community can ask the Vice Chancellor quietly, sir, what are you doing? You know, no offense to you, what are you doing? Because you have some duties to the institution. You know, and we feel that these are aspects where you can do it politely to anybody. You know. By the way, we can even question the Prime Minister or President or anybody. That freedom is there in the land. The question is, how do you question? You can't go and say, Nada, enna pandra. You can't do that, you know. That will finish you. You're obviously wrong, you know. You're obviously wrong. You don't do that, you know. That's the polite way, sir. This is what we are trying to do. This is our purpose. For example, in India, we say, sir, this is the preamble of the Constitution. Please read it carefully. I think these are criteria on which we really have to focus a lot. We're not doing very well, sir. India is still an extremely poor country. You know, we have to tackle extreme poverty. There are several million people. You look at your own government department statistics, you will see there are hundreds and hundreds of million people who are going without 1 square meal a day. So we have to tackle all that, sir. And I think these programs are very good programs. What you launched are very good. But please look at this also. This is a very polite way, you know. In Tamil there is a saying, Vazhapazhathula oosi etra mari. You know, Vazhapazham is banana, kela. What do you call that in Telugu? Huh? Aradi pallu. Andi pallu, huh? Sorry. Andi pallu, oosi is what? Needle. Kya? Huh? What do you call that in Telugu? Needle ko. You'll have some word. What's the new word? Sudi. Sudi. So andi pallu mein sudi. You got it. So you have to tell quietly. Very quietly. This is what's happening. So please. But you're doing a good job. Now, this is your duty as a citizen. Please understand. Now, my dear friends, take care. All this is there. I didn't tell you what could happen. Actually, it is possible that Vadivelu and Karthikeyan get into a fight because they don't have good interpersonal relationships. Please understand. It's not that you have a guide, everything is going to be fantastic. I want all of you to understand this. Okay? And India is very notorious for another phenomenon. India and some places, definitely not Anna University, definitely not. Okay, I know this for certain. Two things you have to be very careful. In some universities, it is known to have happened. Well established. Court cases, everything have happened. Two things. There are some universities where guides take money from their research scholars. In fact, I had a young friend, he is there in Chennai, who did PhD in a good university. Definitely not here. Okay, this is a different case. I'm not even, I can't really point a finger at Anna. I'll be terribly wrong if I do that. Okay. But where he described, Ganesh sir, he's a younger guy, so he refers to me at either LSG sir or Ganesh sir. If I go stand in front of my guide's room, I could be charged 2,000 rupees for that. If I knock the door, I could be charged 5,000 rupees for that. If he hears and says, come in, I could be charged 10,000 rupees for that. And if he looks up at me, I may have to pay 15,000 rupees for that. If he says, sit down, I have to pay 20,000 rupees for this. My dear friends, this reality has happened and perhaps is happening in some rascal universities in our country. Very, very, very wrong, unethical, and unfortunately, please, my dear friends, understand, you're all vulnerable as research scholars. Please understand this. Many of you are doing your research, compromising on your marital life. I want you to understand this truth. Okay? Because some of you are postponing your marriage because you want to do your PhD. Some of you may be already married. I want all of you to understand PhD is another baby. Okay? Sometimes for an unmarried person, PhD is a wife. Okay, leave alone baby. So you have to tackle. And the guide could be the mother-in-law. So you have to be, I want you to be aware of this. Corruption in research is a reality. If that is happening, your research goes nowhere. Are you clear? Your research is not going, it's going nowhere. Okay? Anywhere is, as our friend Sudarshan started, anywhere, because he says, I don't know. I'm exploring, first explorer. For me, the stars are my guide. Isn't it? He doesn't have a guide at that time. Karthikeyan didn't have a guide. Thangavelu sir didn't have a guide. They were the earliest researcher. Probably Hema was a student of Thangavelu. Maybe, okay. But this is the reality. I want you to be very careful. But there are ways in which that has to be tackled very carefully. And such people who charge money from the research scholars should be booted out of the system. No mercy, no tolerance. I hope you got it. There's nothing wrong. I mean, I would even say, even if your PhD goes for a 6, don't worry. Because likely, I'll tell you what is likely to happen. If that happens to a colleague, then no other colleague will take you as the research scholar. Please understand all these psychological aspects. That's why I said nowhere. It's kind of, if you are a very good person, then you say, look, damn my PhD. This kind of unethical practice, every research scholar must be saved. I don't care if I am hurt, but every other research scholar must be saved. You can't take that kind of a bold stance and say, this is what I'm going to do. I mean, damn you. So I'm going to complain. Okay. Second, I want everybody to forgive me, but I'm sharing what I know and I have enough evidence. Okay. If you're a woman, be very careful with a male guide. Okay. Don't immediately think that all males are that. Huh? Don't make that mistake. They're not like that. There are good, very decent people also. But I want you to be careful. That is all. Remember, forewarned is forearmed. Isn't it? You have to be careful. So don't make a wrong conclusion that every male guide is going to be like that. No. You might actually land up with an excellent person where you cherish the friendship with that person for years. Because the person is truly a friend, philosopher and guide. I hope you got it. That can also happen. In Tamil, guide அமைவதெல்லாம் இறைவன் கொடுத்த வரம். Okay, what I said was, guide, you got it. அமைவது means the fixing of a guide. இறைவன் is God. கொடுத்த வரம் means blessings of God. Your guide is a blessing of God. I've translated, correct? This happens. I hope you are clear about this aspect also. Okay? And even for males, I am saying, be careful. This has also happened in our institutions. You could have homosexual guides. Please understand, I'm on record, but it's my duty as a senior to caution you in all this. Be very careful, please. So, just because somebody is there doesn't mean be extra careful. These are the undesirables in the world of research. That's why I'm sharing that with you. Not desirable. Don't go anywhere near that. Okay? There are other things which you must know about research. Resources. What are the resources you're going to handle to see to it that your work is really going to where? To the destination. The real discovery where you say, you and your guide say, good, now you're ready to submit the thesis. Okay. Incidentally, I will try to do this. One of my research scholars is going to present his defense on Monday. Ma'am, if okay, I'll share the web link. So anybody interested can jump in and see what happens in the Viva OC. Okay? So that's something I should do for you. So you will get an idea. Later I'll share the web link with you. Okay? So that is important. What are your resources when you're doing? For Sudarshan, what was the resource or what were the resources for him? Raji one, first resource is Sudarshan. Never forget, you are your biggest resource, for heaven's sake. Never forget yourself, count yourself in. I hope all of you got it. You are your best resource. I hope I'm clear. Okay? And you are your resource means all your mental faculties, your focus, your energy, your enthusiasm, your ability to hold a steady mind in difficult circumstances, your power of resilience. These are your big resources. Your patience. Would Sudarshan have discovered the land just like that? Can you imagine what efforts he must have put to discover that land? Am I right, sir? He gets a map, studies the stars, the lay, sort of gets an estimate of time, and says this, and he needs a ship, he needs sailors, all of them are resources. I hope you got it. So, in research, what are your resources? What do you think are your, I've given you, first resource is you. Then what are the resources? Come on, tell me. You've all come into a PhD program. You must be able to tell me what do you think are the resources that will be available to you. Anybody, please. Huh? Very good. Computers, computing facilities, okay. Databases, then, huh? Laboratories. A guide is a resource. Guide, office system, absolutely correct. Yeah. There's something deeper also, no? Yeah, all library facilities, learning resources. See, today you're all fortunate in a different sense. When I did my PhD, I didn't have the kind of computers you have. So you literally have to go to the library, take out the journal back volumes, big ledger-like thing you can see in the library. Take it down, look at it, make your abstract notes, etc. Today, damn it, you got keyword search. You just type in keywords, tongue. But you have a different problem, which I didn't have. The problem is you could come with 1,000,000 results. Keyword search, whatever, 100,000 results, enna பண்ணுவீங்க? So, their intelligence is needed. No, that means you have to know how to navigate those 100,000 papers to see which ones are most important for you. I understand it. I'll give you one thumb rule also which you can use. Ma'am, how are we doing on time? அதான் நீங்க சொல்லுங்க. இல்ல வார்னிங் கொடுத்துருங்க முதல்ல. Please. Otherwise I'll not be doing justice to the next speaker. That's why. Okay? So you got this idea, no? So many resources. You have that problem. You'll land up with huge list. So how do I find out what I want? By the way, there are some nice ways in which you can do, which today we cannot discuss, but maybe some of the speakers who are coming will tell you how to do a pakka literature review. Okay? How do you make a robust literature review, which is really good, from on the basis of which, in fact, some things I want to tell you, which you can note typically so that your research is really going somewhere. When you start, point number one, you know the department in which you are in. I hope you got it. Okay? So I can't be a research scholar in the Department of Civil. I can't say I can't be, because ultimately it's all interdisciplinary, so I won't say that. But it's not very easy for somebody to understand. I'm a research scholar in the Department of Civil Engineering. I'm working with Professor Uma Rani, and I'm going to write poetry on civil engineering. Maybe she may accept it, okay, maybe. Maybe Uma Rani may be very thoughtful and say, yeah, Ganesh, very good. It's not a bad idea to write a series of poems on civil engineers and civil engineering. It's a nice contribution, because your poems may reflect insights on civil engineers and civil engineering. So we are happy with that, no problems. But I'm not a critique of literature, so I'll tie up with somebody. So we'll have a co-guide. Are you understanding? You'll have a co-guide. We'll work together and help you out in this. But today India is still far away from those kinds of ideals of research. If you're in civil engineering, you do exact civil engineering. Exact. We've had a time just a few years ago when some students wanted to do embedded systems in civil constructions. Are you understanding? So the guide, I'm telling you a real case that happened. The guide says, no, how can you do this? It's not civil engineering. If you want to do embedded systems, go to either EE or computer science. Why are you coming to civil engineering? And when this gentleman told me, I said, what's wrong? He's still talking of civil engineering. He's talking of increasing the functionality of a built structure by embedded systems in the, you can do so many things. There are materials in civil engineering, building materials, which are very important. And people are doing heavy research on building materials. So why can't you look at that kind of a thing? So ultimately, see, the imagination of the guide is also important. But that's okay. So these are great resources. But typically when you start, when you know the department and you know the areas, for example, it's in civil engineering, I may say, look, in civil engineering, what am I going to do? I'm really going to work on building technology. I'm very interested in building technology. Okay? I took civil engineering because I think Uma Rani is in civil engineering. I hope I'm not wrong. Okay? So I'm focusing on building technology. I don't know, maybe that's not her area. Okay? I'm going to focus on building technology. And building, particularly I'm interested in smart buildings. Because I see there is tremendous interest now in smart buildings. Smart buildings means looking at buildings that can have some technology by which they adjust the light, the temperature, the audio, etc. inside, when people come. Are there such buildings? Yeah, there are buildings where I have walked in where the moment you open a door, the light will come in the night. There's obviously some connection, some sensor, some switches, etc. And I know buildings where if in this room, there are about 1,000 people, the air conditioning system will adjust itself. I hope all of you understand. Every human being is a heater. Don't forget this. 98 point whatever it is. Our bodies are naturally hot. So imagine if there are 1,000 people in this room, what kind of heat will be generated? Okay? So you have that kind of stuff also happening. Okay? So somebody may want to work on that area. So as long as you're clear, then what will you do? You've decided civil engineering, building technology, smart buildings. You see how you're logically coming in now, details? And within smart buildings, what do I want to do? Okay, I'm very interested in temperature control in buildings. Especially because we are in a tropical country in Madras. I was just telling our guests who had come in today that in Madras there are only 3 seasons, hot, hotter, hottest. So I say, which one do you want to choose? So you come in. So we will say, right? So we'll work on, I'm looking at temperature in smart buildings, temperature control. Okay? So obviously when I'm a civil engineer and looking at temperature control in smart buildings, I have to look at the building material also. because its thermal properties, the floor, the ceiling, panels, everything I want to study. What happens? These experimental work. No, what happens in an enclosed space if I put this material and if I put this temperature inside? How does the control happen? So you can get into experimental work like that also. I hope you got it. That's also discovery, because you don't know what's going to happen. Finally, somebody may discover, this material is the best. This material, in fact, it's almost like somebody may even discover and saying, look, why are you going for this kind of a building? Actually, the best material is our own old clay. It protects your internal temperature beautifully. You don't need an air conditioner also. How many of you know of this great invention which I think Godrej also started marketing, that refrigerator which is not made of electric stuff? Some name is there for that. Some cool. One Gujarati gentleman invented it, if I'm not. Mitti cool. He should know this. Somebody has got a refrigerator which will, of course, it's not a freezer. Don't confuse. It's a refrigerator, but no power. You can keep milk cool without like normal, and they show the internal temperature. It's not like Ramar petrol, which happened some years ago. I hope many of you know the story of Ramar petrol. It's sad. It's a very sad story. Anyway, you don't need to go that way. If you don't know, go through the net. Your mobile phone should be on. You check Ramar petrol. Okay. Organic petrol. He put some leaf. Yeah, good, sir. So you got the idea, no? So then you say, let's say Raji 2 is the worker in that area, and let us say Hema is our guide in that area. Okay. Then Raji asks, Hema says, Raji, please, since you are talking of these topics, these journals will be the right sources of knowledge for you. Are you understanding? Please take a dive into those journals and initially read these 5 seminal papers. You have what's known as a seminal paper, which means the root paper in that area. So guide is supposed to do that and say, yeah, read these papers. These will really help you build a strong foundation of knowledge in what you want to do. And Raji too says, yeah. And immediately she goes, because she's so enthusiastic, bubbling with energy, says, okay, I'm going to do. Ma'am has said this, so I'm going to do this now. And Hema is, I'm just telling you what all could happen. Hema has 2 children at home. Okay, twins, a boy and a girl. Typically about 8 years old, let's say. Now, I want you to imagine how twins who are 8 years old, a boy and a girl, will behave. Incidentally, I'm a grandfather of such twins, so I know what's happening. Okay. And she's advising Raji too. And then she gets a phone call. He's in the office. Raji too is standing there. She's just given her seminal papers, read these journals, etc. Amma, this fellow is pulling my hair. And of course, Hema has to handle that also. No, she's a guide. She has to handle that. She says, okay, don't worry, I'm coming for lunch. Just hold on. Amma, you say you'll come for lunch, you never come for lunch. That's also true, Hema. Because when you're working like that, you may not go for lunch at all. Because you're so thick with work. I hope you got behaviorally. I want you to understand the behavioral dynamics of what happens to a person. Okay. This is very interesting, fascinating. Raji might be thinking, oh my God, what kind of a guide have I got stuck to? The children are there and how will she handle this thing? Okay. And the beauty is, Raji may not be the only research scholar with Hema. Hema may already be having 5-6 research scholars. Raji too may be the 7th research scholar. Then Raji too talks to, let's say, what's your name, ma'am, he said? Harita. Raji too talks to Harita, another research scholar of Hema, and says, I hope you don't mind my using names, please. It's only for illustration. And say, how's this lady? Huh? In the mess, you go and talk, no? Eppadi avanga, eppadi, ma'am, eppadi, parale. Then Harita says, no, she's very sincere lady, But only thing is, she's difficult. She's going through a very tough marriage, and she's got twins on top of that. But she's dedicated to her research. Okay, my dear friends, all this can happen in life. I have a friend who's going through hell in his marital life, and he's guiding 6 research scholars. Very, very close friend. I'm not defending him or his wife. In fact, the only thing I told both of them, I'm sharing with you as a mutual friend, I said, you're looking at it from your perspective. Who's going to look at the child's perspective? It's the only question I ask. Me and my wife ask both of them the same question. Who's going to talk about the child? I hope you understand the dynamics. Huh? It's not PhD means only PhD. There's another aspect of life. Okay? I want you to recognize that. You are a package. You come as a package. You have so many concerns in your life. So PhD is a big concern, I agree. But that articulates your behavior, isn't it? So then, anyway, Hema's gone quickly, take the computer, goes into Science Citation Index, Web of Science, tuck, get the papers, starts reading. It's very important. Her literature review has begun. Correct? And then Hema has told Raji to, you meet me 3 days later and give me a brief presentation. 10 minutes you tell me what you read, what you understood. So that we'll know what to do next. So Raji too does that. She reads and notes down the critical points in those 5 or 6 seminal papers and say, this is what they are saying. Okay? So, but why? Because she has to confirm to Hema that she has understood what she has read. And Hema already knows it. So she's actually testing Raji too. Okay? Purnida, I hope you understood, because my job is to make you strong. If I'm an honest guide, my job is to make you better than me. If at the end of the PhD I know more than you, I should get the PhD. Fair enough? You should know more than me when you're a PhD student. So don't go and complain guide didn't know. Guide may not know, sir. Guide is not supposed to know more than you by design. You should know more than the guide when you're doing that. You should know 100 times more than the guide in your area. Then you're a great research scholar. Guide is only showing the path. Try this, etc. Okay. Then she comes and does the presentation to Hema. And then Hema says, yeah, good. I think this is good. Now, Raji, to read these papers. Are you understanding? Read these papers. And not only that, go consult with Harita. Then if Hema is very, very honest, she'll say, ma'am, I've already talked to Harita. Are you getting it? So Raji too will tell Hema, ma'am, I've already talked to Harita, ma'am. So what did she say? Obviously Raji too has to be diplomatic. You know, she says, you're a wonderful soul, ma'am. You know? So it's all fine, no problems. I think I'll have fun working with you. Okay, fine. All that is over. Then they all meet. Then the work starts. She's making presentations. You're also getting it. And the work slowly progresses. How do you map the thing? There are some very good, please note down, please ask other speakers. There are some good knowledge representation methods. So when you do your literature review, there are very powerful, simple and powerful knowledge representation methods. Okay? Which you should use. So as Raji too is doing her literature review, you're using those methods to map the research. You're creating I hope all of you got it, you're creating a mental model of the area in your mind. You're creating a model. Okay? It's a map. It tells this is the area, this is how it is. So that you're doing. So and as you're doing, do you agree when you read something, do you straight away identify the research gap, or do you get questions first? Which comes first? Logically, what will come first? You're reading something, questions will come first. Note this, research questions come first. As you're reading, saying, why is this guy saying this? Why is he not saying this? Are you understanding? Why is he not looking at this aspect? So that set of research questions which you're diving into, I hope you're understanding this. This is your journey, huh? That set of research questions which you're diving into, those questions are the basis for your commencement of your thesis work. I'm not saying for the entire thesis, that's the basis for the start of your thesis work. I hope you got it. You're getting some questions, and then you find with further reading some questions are answered by somebody else. This can happen. This will happen also. I hope all of you understood this. But you're raising questions, noting them down, and then later you find somebody has answered. Okay, cross it. This question has been answered. But do you agree, after some kind of effort over some months, say 6 to 9 months, you will have a set of unanswered questions in the literature, which will be discovered by your mapping on paper. I told you, mental model. It will be on paper. So those are your research gaps. Remember, starting is questions. The questions will lead to research gaps. Okay? So you can be very sure, when you're doing that, your confidence will grow. My research is definitely going somewhere. I will not say it's going nowhere. It is going somewhere. Okay? I hope you got it. Is the title there? Okay. Can you just put it for a minute, please? It's not going nowhere. Okay? I'll explain everywhere also shortly. How are we doing on time? 5 minutes. Thanks. Thanks. Thanks, ma. Okay, fine. So one thing is that my research is going somewhere. Okay, tick, nowhere, cross. So I hope you got it. That's happening. So the gaps are visible for you then. The unanswered questions which you have discovered. But then you have to go through an evaluation process. I told you, you're your biggest resource. You're also your biggest burden. It's exactly like what Lord Krishna said in the Gita. You're your best friend, you're your worst enemy. In fact, China, there is a curse. Sabam, China. Sabam, Sabam in Telugu kya kehte hain? Curse ko? Sapam. Okay, that's all. No problem. No, in Tamil, we generally say you add a lu, then it becomes Telugu. Nothing. It's a beautiful language. So, in fact, Bharadiyar has sung Sundara Teluginal Partisait. So it's a beautiful language. Okay. One of the greatest modern poets has said Sundara Teluginal Partisait. Okay. So it's like that. So Sabam. What is the Chinese curse? May you be your child. This is the curse. Okay. We all know what it means. May you be your child. Okay, that's also done. So you got the gaps, you got questions, gaps. Gaps to objectives, research objectives. Clear? From gaps, you say, what do I want to do? So you say, this is what I want to do because this gap is there. Okay? So typically this is dived into in detail in chapter 2 of your thesis. Whatever I told you now is chapter 2. You're diving into the literature and coming up with the questions, coming up with the gaps and the objectives is typically chapter 2. And also, if you wish, you can add methods to fulfill the objectives in chapter 2. These are the methods we are going to tackle. Are you clear? These are the methods you want to tackle. These methods, if I use, I know I'll be fulfilling the objectives. Fair enough? That you'll log in. And obviously you have to do a search on methods also. There'll be n methods, you have to see which ones are the best suited to fulfill. That judgment you and guide have to make together. Because literature will show you that also. Who has used which method for what purpose, etc. So you have to do all that study also you have to do. So methods will come. So you have to defend your method. See, a lot of the fun in research is you justify every statement in your thesis. You're making a statement, justify it. And don't say, I say so. If you say, I say so, examiner will say, Pada. This is likely to happen. Never do that mistake. Don't say, I say so. You can stand on citations. You can say, this is already done. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. Correct? sir. I'm not going to grind the same flour again. It's already done. I'm standing on that result. If you want, you go verify that result. I'm not going to verify. Okay, that right you have as a research scholar. So that you do and get the thing logged in. Methods are chosen. Chapter 2. Somebody may ask, what is chapter 1? Very quickly, chapter 1 is the general introduction to the whole thesis, where you are able to defend why that thesis is important. So you give the background to what you're going to do in your work. The background, okay? So why is that thesis important? Economically, legally, technologically, historically, politically, environmentally, socially, defend. This is the importance of the thesis. And this thesis, and also say why you need a literature review. Chapter 1, you have to do that. You have to defend why you have to take a deeper dive into the literature. You can say, look, I've got surface level literature which I'm presenting in chapter 1. Poradu. In Tamil we say, parupu vegadu. It won't click. So I need deeper dive into the literature. So to sink my teeth and get my gaps and questions and objectives. I need the literature review. Chapter 1, ennaal panna mudiyadhu. Poduvaadhaan pesren. In general, in common, I'm talking in chapter 1. I need a deeper dive into the literature. That you defend. And also in chapter 1 at the end, give a map of the thesis. This is what I will discuss further in the thesis. In chapter 2, I present a literature review. I'm saying this in many cases where I corrected the thesis. I point out to the research scholar, and this disease is there. They come to the objectives in chapter 1. Sorry, you're bloody wrong. How can you come to the objectives without a dive into the literature review? You cannot. Philosophically, you cannot. Okay? So this is important. I hope you got this. So then you come to chapter 3, typically methods. You describe all the methods which you're going to use. Chapter 4, 5 and 6 are your discovery chapters. Typically, I'm saying, a typical thesis will be like this. 3 original chapters are your work. Your original discoveries in that area. Typically, I'm saying, you can check a thesis and you'll find this pattern there. It may be 3, some people may put 4 or 5, it doesn't matter. That's up to you. Okay? And then, of course, you end with summary and conclusions, where you look back and say, okay, this is what I set out to do, this is what I did, and this is what I discovered. And these are the implications. And you also say, this is what I do, this is what I did not do. Future work, scope for future work. I hope you are clear. There are many other things, given time we cannot do this. But I also, since it's an engineering institution, I'll finish with this point. If you have your mobile phones, please check Ramanujan paradox. Please do this. I'm almost through, man. Few more minutes and I'm through. Ramanujan paradox. Dominic, I thought it was an Anna University professor who walked in, I'm sorry. No, Dominic is a friend of mine going back to St. Bede's High School. Okay. So thank you, Dominic. Okay, anyway, it's all right. How many of you have opened the thing? Ramanujan paradox. I'm telling you, open your mobile phone, check Ramanujan paradox. Incidentally, as a teacher, I always tell my students, keep your mobile phones on. Verify what I am saying. I'll tell many things, you verify. Because I shouldn't bullshit, no? So you verify Ramanujan paradox. And I would like any one of you to state what that paradox is. There's a very important point I want to convey to everybody here, and I'm on record. Anyone? Fastest finger. Kadachirtha? Ramanujan paradox. Can you stand up and say that, please? I'll repeat also for you. No, that's very, very important. It's a fantastic result. Yeah. The sum of all natural numbers, 1 to infinity, you keep on going, countably infinite, is
is equal to minus 1 by 12. My dear friends, you know why I talk about this? Is it philosophically feasible? It's mathematically feasible. I don't have an argument. Is it philosophically feasible that you add positive numbers and get a negative result? I want you to use your philosophical sense. Mathematically, yes, I can do anything I can do mathematically. You know why I am closing with this? Please understand, what is the expansion of PhD? Doctor of, your degree will say Doctor of Philosophy, including mathematics. Because this is a fantastic paradox to showcase to every. I'm sure many of you discovered this paradox after I told you. Or is there anybody who knew it before? Yeah, you read about it. But it's a fascinating paradox. That you add positive numbers, you get a negative number as the result. That means philosophically something is wrong. Something is wrong. My dear friends, philosophy is king. Mathematics is probably prince. Okay. Mathematics is very important. Nobody says no, but I want you to see the fallacies here. I can always do manipulations in mathematics because I start with some axioms and then get, in my opinion, an absolutely stupid result. It's a mathematically correct result. Philosophically not a correct result. And remember, you're all philosophers. So once again, Vanakkam, Namaste, and good day to you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, sure, thanks.
Questions from the audience? And questions from the online audience also?
Yeah, sure. Any questions, please? Observations, comments, questions, anything. Yeah, this is on management of degraded ecosystems. So my area of interest is systems thinking. And there's another story why I got into it. In fact, my research scholar and I have a huge collection of materials to show how experts in the world have goofed up big time and done long-term damage to the planet. Experts, mind you. We're not talking of you and me. And I have tremendous evidence for this, tremendous evidence. So the question of who is an expert becomes very fundamental then. I hope you got it. So it's on management of degraded ecosystems. And he did his work by focusing on the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve, where he shows how an alien species called Lantana camara came in and what kind of management problems are there. That's the thesis, actually. I can send the links as I promised. I'll send the links. I'll check with the people also. Those of you who are interested, it's on 12th, 11 o'clock in the morning. So please do join the thing. I'm sure it will be of some benefit to you. Okay. That's the thing. Okay. Any other question or something, please? Whatever I've said. Yes, sir, please. Very good.
Among the engineering teachers.
Okay.
So what's your advice for that?
That's very good.
Emotional intelligence and work-life balance, sir.
Emotional intelligence.
Impact on impact of emotional intelligence on work-life balance.
On work-life balance. What's your name, sir, please?
Samuel. Samuel.
Can I call you Sam?
Sam, yeah.
Okay. Sam, sit down, please. Thank you. Prima facie, I'm telling you, please take me as a friend, okay? I think you're trying to bite more than you can chew. Upfront சொல்றேன். தப்பா நினைச்சுக்காதீங்க தயவு செஞ்சு. உங்க நல்லதுக்கு நான் சொல்றேன். Okay. I didn't answer that everywhere question. அதை முடிச்சிடுறேன் quick. Why everywhere? We had a research scholar who did literature review for 9 years. That's got literally என்னடா பண்ணிட்டே இருக்க. No sir. I mean, all of us are trying to tell him, boss, your PhDs, if you get Nobel Prize, that's a bonus. We are okay with that. But please understand, PhDs, huh? Literature review. எப்போ கேட்டாலும் literature review. The problem is a behavioral problem with the research scholar. No, illa sir. I know this case. That's why I'm telling you. You can trust me.
I like the research scholar. I don't have a problem with the person. But this is what is called getting stuck, Getting stuck and deeper. He's never satisfied with his literature review. And we are trying to tell him, we are trying to lift him out, actually. Seriously. That's called going, it's actually going everywhere, You're actually going nowhere because you're going everywhere. I hope you understood this. Where are you fixated? And we are telling you, look, these are areas where you focus and finish it. Because we are as keen as you to give you your PhD and send you out. You're also keen. You have to go out into the world. So that's the everywhere. I hope you got it, okay? So anyway, ma'am, I'm through. Yeah, there's one more question. Yeah, please. Sure. Thanks.
Sir, I have a question about the Ramanujan paradox itself.
Aparama adu.
No, it's related to this. Okay. Sir, sometimes some theories when they are proposed, they are called paradoxes. Like for example, when Einstein proposed gravitational waves, or when Peter Higgs, they were all paradoxes. But it took time for technology to prove them not paradoxes but real. So where do we draw the line between paradoxes and reality?
Inge vandu the philosophy itself is shaking now, sir. What's your name, please? I mean, I am only talking of, see, there you're talking of a natural phenomenon, like gravitational waves. Are you getting it? There's no fundamental philosophical violation there. I mean, in this case, there is a philosophical violation. I'm adding positive numbers and getting a negative result. It's a fundamental mathematically it's correct. I'm not questioning that. I'm not questioning the mathematical operations. I bow my head. Namaskaram. But philosophically, how do you say you add positive numbers and get a negative result? That means there is something that's happening in the mathematics which is causing this. By the way, there are many paradoxes in math, by the way. You can do this and say you'll get a crazy result, I'm not a mathematician, but I'm aware that there are some. I can probably get some help on this also. So I'm not disproving Ramanujan's paradox. I hope you got it, Amin. I am accepting it, but I'm saying philosophically there's something wrong. I can't add positive numbers and get a negative result. Doesn't make any sense to me. Mathematically, if you show me, I'll say, yeah, mathematically you're correct. Sometimes it's as difficult, as saying how two good people will not relate to each other. They might even become worst enemies of each other. Individually, they are actually very good people. But Seta Gali. Have you observed this in life? I'm sure in your group of friends you would have seen like this. This is the truth of life. So life is paradoxical, And a lot of fun in life comes from research, please. Okay. Any other questions? I hope. Yeah, sure. Harita, yeah. They are on record. Yeah.
The session is very excellent, sir. I never seen this type of session with only one slide. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
You didn't hear my joke when I was inside. People use PowerPoint when they have neither power nor point. Okay. வேண்டாம் சரக்கு இருந்தா இறக்க முடியும். Okay, that's all. This is the truth, Harita.
Thank you, sir.
But
Thank
not
you
that
so
I
much.
will not say I never use PowerPoint. I'll be a liar. I have used, but I minimize it to the maximum amount I can. I minimize PowerPoint. பேசணும், தெரியணும், புரிஞ்சுக்கணும், பரப்பணும். You have to spread also. That's important. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Sir.
No online questions? Yeah.
One question, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, you said about somewhere, everywhere,
Yeah.
nowhere. But my question is, till last week, China had a heat wave.
Ama.
So the heat wave, as people started living in cave. I read somewhere else that people started living in cave.
WhatsApp message,
No, not WhatsApp message. From the newspaper. It's not WhatsApp. I don't
Newspaper,
study in WhatsApp University.
Sir, be very careful with newspaper messages. They are worse than WhatsApp sometimes. No, but I'm not saying it's not true. Maybe true.
Yeah.
But I am in a good mood to say China deserves it.
So
Okay.
the question concluded.
They deserve what they get, sir. And they have messed up the world completely. ஆமா இறக்கமே இல்லாத ஜந்துக்கள் சார் அதுங்கெல்லாம். Anyway.
if there are no more questions from here.
Online also. No.
Online, there are a lot of comments and feedback, but nobody has dared ask a question to you, sir. No question. So, in fact, I was also thinking about 1 plus 2 plus, go on till infinity and equal to minus 1 by 12.
How many of you got a surprise knowing the Ramanujan paradox?
Myself included.
Thank you. First time I also got a surprise. I said, look, something is strange. Then I went through the proof. I said, okay, there is a mathematical step where this happens actually, which is mathematically correct. It's not wrong. But look at the genius of Ramanujan. Huh? Where he foxes you completely, saying, look, I can do this and show. Perhaps Ramanujan was trying to send a message that don't completely believe in everything that is mathematics, because you have nonsense also coming out. Okay.
Thank you,
Perhaps,
sir.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I think this was a very befitting session.
Thanks.
Number 1 for all our scholars. Now I request our director, madam, and the deputy director to please come here and honor the speaker for the day. So sir has very gracefully accepted our invitation and be here. Madam, would you like to say a few words?
சார் அதான் நம்ம ஸ்காலர்ஸே சொல்லிட்டீங்க இல்லையா, எக்ஸலண்ட் லெக்சர் சார். ஆக்சுவலி வி கெட் இன்ஸ்பிரேஷன் ஃப்ரம் யூ. தேங்க்யூ சார். ஆக்சுவலி now professor is vice chancellor in university in Hyderabad. Recently he has taken charge. And one more information, actually I contacted him just before 1st September, maybe in the last week of August, and he accepted. Because of this invitation, now he has travelled from Hyderabad to here. Yes.
There is a NAC birth cycle accreditation going on.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Because of his, you see his commitment. நம்ம என்ன பண்ணுவோம், இப்போ நானே இருந்தேன்னா என்ன பண்ணுவேன்னு தெரியல. என்ன பண்ணுவேன், இல்லை நான் வைஸ் சான்சலர் ஆகிட்டேங்க, என்னால் வர முடியாதுன்னு லாஸ்ட் மினிட்ல கூட நம்ம சொல்லுவோம். பட் சார் சொன்ன மாதிரி ஓப்பனிங் பேட்ஸ்மேன் ரொம்ப சார், யூஆர் ரியலி கிரேட் சார். தேங்க்யூ சார். தேங்க்யூ ஃபார் அக்செப்டிங்.
So please accept a small token of our love and appreciation. Thank you, sir.
Very interesting. They've given me Richard Dawkins, the greatest show on earth. I have a philosophical problem with this guy. Okay, we'll go through this. Okay, he doesn't believe in God. And I'll tell you what's the problem. Anybody who doesn't believe in God is not believing himself or herself. That's the fundamental problem. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for accepting it, sir. Soundarya, can you please come here? Yes, please, sir. Please proceed. Sir's classmate, Mr. Dominic, had come all the way to meet him.
Having achieved so much wonders. He is one of the best speakers we have come across. I am from St. Bede's High School. We studied together. And in our batch, many of them are on the top level. Radha Ravi is our classmate. SSR son, MP is our classmate. Indian cricket player Meggie is our classmate. We come in a group of wonderful people, and I take pride in his achievement. He is one of the best speakers we have come across. Thank you so much.